Hello everyone, it's Jen, and I'm back with an update on how I'm doing with the Otome Jam. So, I'm a little bit further than I had hoped to be in some ways, and I'm a little bit farther behind in other ways. My big dream was to have just kind of the exploration screen working by this time, after a full week has gone by. And so far I'm still struggling. It took me a long time to get the HP bars working. let me show you what I was talking about. Ooh, okay, so beautiful title screen. This is the exploration screen. I have a kind of leader switch function with these two characters, and these HP bars updating with the object property of their soul energy was the thing that just took me hours and hours and hours to figure out for whatever reason. In order to get these HP bars refreshing and showing the consumption of the energy when you perform this this action, I needed to assign it like a global variable in order to get it to update, and I don't know if there's like another way to do it, but that's how I ended up solving that problem. So basically, a major gameplay function in this game is to be able to switch between your two party members, to decide who does the action and how much, and kind of be able to manage their energy levels. So the protagonist, you can see here, if I bring up her stats, she has less energy than the vassal, kind of your companion helper. This is by design because the kind of like the lore aspect of the game is that the magic weavers, those who are like have a high affinity for magic, are very like vulnerable to succumbing. So I guess you could say they run out of energy, like resilience, like quickly, versus your vassal has a higher level of like maximum soul energy. So you can see here that you have these two different stats, mastery and fortune, which are inversed on these characters. These things could get tweaked, but they do have different strengths. So there's going to be times where you're going to have to use the protagonist in order to progress, have her use her actions, but it's going to be used more conservatively, I think, than your companion. This here is the leader switch button. This also took me quite a long time to figure out. So you can see there's a little bit of an animation change when the party member is the active participant. They give you a little bit of dialogue to let you know that they are ready to go. And now when you perform this action, it's going to have this character do the inspection, and it's going to have them lose some of their energy in the process. And you can see that this is a more active animation versus the idle animation here is a little bit less active, to kind of try to show the visual make the visual representation of who the active participant is a little bit more clear. I can toggle back and forth, and they're going to have kind of randomized dialogue that they're going to say when you switch. And I might go back and tweak some of that, but that's basically that. I do have a hard pause in here, so nothing is going to happen until we actually click on a button to do something. So let's say that we want the protagonist to do this inspection action. So we can see, especially if I put up her stats, when we use the inspection, you can see the bar goes down, and she makes an observation about the room. And you can see it also here. But you can kind of see, even with that closed, that she's losing some of her soul energy every time she does this observation or this inspection action. And there's going to be 2 other actions here too that consume more energy. This is like the lowest cost one, but again, I haven't gotten around to implementing that yet. And I'm probably going to put some randomized dialogue here when she runs out of unique observations, but you can see how her energy just can keep going down if I just keep clicking that. And then if I have the leader change, and you can also see here, the value is updating on her stat. You can see here with him, when he's the active participant, if I have him inspect, then he makes his observation, and it consumes a little bit of his energy. And I don't know why I have this base value. I was just testing to make sure that the bars were working. And there will be consequences to running out of energy, but I haven't implemented that yet. So yeah, that is where I am with having created this game. That's about as far as I went. So I want to get the other, I'll show you here. When we go to this layout, this was my plan. So I want to have these buttons implemented where you can take action and you can move locations. And then I also want to get these buttons working where you can toggle these screens to show your inventory and show details of your inventory. Notes, which will help the player keep track of objectives. And then this is the map display. So these buttons, everything that's a circular button in this interface does not consume energy. And these kind of rectangular buttons that have numerical values on them are what consume energy every time you click them. And so I had hoped to get all this screen language done, but alas, figuring out how to get these bars to update took me forever. Getting this leader switch mechanic took forever. And even just getting the layers to display properly, for whatever reason with RenPy, I was just struggling to get these layers. So you can kind of see how I have these different screens that are overlapping each other, and this bar is overlapping, and the layer that I want these animations to be on, it all has to be in a certain order. So getting the screen layers to work properly, for whatever reason, I couldn't put layers underneath the master layer. It had to be, for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's just me and I'm just crazy, but I feel like sometimes I'm just like flubbing around trying to like make RenPy do things that I feel like I've read that theoretically should work. But let me show in the options. So I was trying to define these configuration layers, and I couldn't get any layers to work between BG and master, and I couldn't get anything to work between master and transient. And the only place that I could get like new custom layers to work were between transient and screens. So for whatever reason, that was a pain in the butt to like just do through trial and error, and I don't know why that's the case. It's kind of the same with those bars, getting these bars to update. I just had to keep struggling with like getting them to work, and I don't really know why. But I end up with like these kind of like weird solutions that I don't know if they're good or not. On the bright side, I took a break. I had a really fun Friday where I just spent that time doing animations because I needed a break from like my brain needed a break, and yeah, I was just looking to have a fun Friday. So I did work on animations, which was fun. And I did animate these larger portraits. So when they move to the kind of story moments where it takes on a more visual novel format, they'll be able to use these sprites and I won't have to reanimate them, although I will do a larger range of expressions. So this part was fun for me. And I am using PNG sequences, doing like the ATL to program I think that's the right term, to program the animation sequences. I have used movie files in the past, but I just find that actually just exporting the PNG sequences and setting up the keyframes in RenPy gives me more control. So I'm just going to keep doing it that way instead of like fiddling around with the movie files and the alpha channel layers and stuff like that. I think I'm just going to stay with the PNG files. It's pretty smooth as long as I export a lot of images. So these animations for when they're kind of like focused, or when they are doing their idle animation, is about 30 drawings, or 30 renders, I should say, because it's one drawing that I just kind of vector manipulated, but it's 30 PNGs. All right, well, that's all I've got. I'm still optimistic that I can finish this demo in time, but I'm certainly not going to be meeting my original goals, which I knew were kind of unrealistically high. What will probably suffer the most is like whether or not I get around to doing any unique like CG like illustrations. That's going to be my absolutely last thing I'm going to implement, and so yeah, the chances of me actually getting around to being able to do that in time for the end of the jam is probably pretty slim. So thanks for checking in with me, and good luck with whatever you are working on, and don't forget to enjoy the process. Bye.